A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today we are going to talk about two karakatwas of Rahu from Uttar Kalamrita. But before that, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and your suggestions there. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do, and do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. As I've often told you, Uttar Kalamrit is a warehouse of karakas, be it of houses of planets. And if you want to understand Rahu more, reading the Uttar Kalamrit is a must. Because as Uttar Kalamrit says, Rahu is something that gives you perplexity. Yes, one of the karakas of Rahu is perplexity and the other is faulty logic. Since all of you have liked our series on Saturn and just two karakas, we are going to continue it further for all the other planets, and here today we have taken Rahu into account. So, the two karakas that we are going to work of Rahu with are perplexity that it gives us, and two, the faulty logic. For health, we are going to see how Rahu's gaseous state affects our health in all the 12 houses. So, let us begin with the first house. If Rahu is placed on the Lagna, you can have a lot of perplexed thoughts about your own self. The discovery of your own self is important. You may also have a lot of faulty notions about your own self that you need to discover and to rectify over a period of time. Rahu in the Lagna can also give you gas pains or gastric issues that will result in headaches, and it can also give you migraine related issues. When we talk about Rahu being placed in the second house is the house of food, and you could have a very varied taste as compared to your family members. I have often found that Rahu placed in the second house, if it's badly afflicted, then you may not want to study deep. On the other hand, if this Rahu is in a friendly house, if it is with friends, then you may so want to study subjects which are very deep, and you may have a lot of appreciation about that too. In fact, I have found, much to my amazement, that a lot of Nobel Prize winners have a connection of Rahu in the second house. What more, generally we find that they can have a discontinued study for a period of time and they may have taken it up on a later date. In the second house, Rahu placed here can give you eating disorders. You can eat things on the go and not care about nutritious values, etc. For those who have Rahu in their third house, this Rahu in the third house can give you an erratic thought process. It can also give you a speech which is different from others, and it is a speech that is not straightforward. It is a speech that is in a very roundabout manner and much open to interpretation by the listener. So, whoever listens can interpret it in their own manner. Moreover, it gives you the courage to do things which may leave others in a state of perplexity. As far as the health issue is concerned, Rahu in the third house can give you erratic breathing, it can give you shoulders pains, and it can give you frozen shoulders also. Now, let us move on to the fourth house. In the fourth house, you may be secretive about not telling about your properties to anybody around you. In the fourth house, Rahu can also give you a very perplexed relationship with your parent. It may seem normal to you, but others around you may find it difficult. You would be able to connect to masses outside of your comfort zone better rather than your own area, your own family members, or your own area. As far as health is concerned, it can give you bronchitis, it can give you those areas of health issues which can be long drawn, especially of that of the heart and the chest. the placement of Rahu in the 5th house talks about your advertisement abilities or your abilities to be out of box creative. That is, you have perplexed ideas and you can put them into use. If you can put them into use, you rise up to great heights. Again, when we have this Rahu placed in the 5th house, it gives you an ability to do mantras which are really difficult, or you may just not want to move in the direction of mantras or siddhis. In fact, you may want to learn about cultures which are very different from yours. So, for people who want to learn about other cultures and perplex matters, this Rahu, this placement is very good. Your children may have an out of box thinking which itself can leave you wondering as to what was their way to grow up in life. And as far as your problems are concerned regarding health, it could bring in ulcers also. It could bring in a lot of gastrointestinal problems. So, you need to be careful in that direction. Eat the right kind of food to be healthy. And this gastric issue can also give you a lot of headaches. So, please be aware. Let us move on to the 6th placement of Rahu. The 6th placement of Rahu gives you a competitive spirit. It can also give you an area of, to work with, or you can have enemies who are very strong in their own right, but are enemies from different field. However, you do have the ability to conquer them, to move above them, to be victorious through means which are not regular. The 6th house Rahu can bring in a lot of problems with your digestion. So, you need to be very careful and eat the right kind of food. It can also show a problem with your colon. Let us talk about the 7th Rahu. The 7th Rahu gives everyone with a 7th house Rahu need to be more showing a lot of affinity to people or partners who are beyond or are from a culture, either culture, caste, creed which is not their own or the ones in which they have taken birth. You will find it very difficult to get along with your partner, but you will have to find a common ground because their nature, their attitude can leave you perplexed. But when you look deep down, you will find a similarity and you should be able to gel at that level. If you work with foreigners in partnerships, you will gain well, but you will have to understand, know about their culture, their way of working. That would work in your favor. As far as health issues are concerned, this is all about your navel, area of your navel. It can also show problems with your kidneys. Rahu here can give you enlarged kidneys or perpetual problem with your kidneys, just like diabetes, etc. So, you need to be careful about your sugar intake, etc. and the stress management has to be good. Let us talk about the 8th house. Yes, we find that the 8th Rahu can give you an income which is something that others cannot even understand. It can give you an income to a very great height which can perplex others, and it is all about an amount which cannot be foreseen by others. On the other hand, it can also give you a sadhana which others can find it difficult to handle, but which will come very naturally to you. So, which way you go very much depends upon you. The 8th house placement of Rahu can give you diseases which are difficult to understand and locate, and hence can be very recurring in nature and can be long drawn. Let us talk about the Rahu in the 9th house. When this Rahu is placed in the 9th house, this Rahu gives you an interest in cultures, in finding out truth, which can leave people mind boggled. They may not be able to understand that, but your understanding, if this Rahu is well placed, can be very clear, very unfaulty. Otherwise, it will take a lot of time to understand for you. all these things. Your relation with your father can be something that others may not understand and find it very different, but this comes very naturally to you. Again, you may find a guru who is not traditional, who is different from others. Typically, health issues could lead in problems in your thighs. It can give you elongated muscle contraction or such problems, and this is a problem that one needs to pay much attention to because your stability can be at stake. Let's talk about the 10th house placement of Rahu. Rahu, when placed in your 10th house, gives you, in terms of health, knee issues. It gives you issues about your confidence, and it can get you to do work which is very perplex, very time consuming, and if you are able to stay at a job for a long period of time, you will be able to do things to if you are working on your Rahu properly, that others can find it very difficult to attain. Once your mind is set up, once you are straightforward focused on a certain issue, you will be able to tackle the issue with an intensity that nobody can even work on. Don't forget, Rahu is very strong in the 10th house. Let's talk about the placement of Rahu in the 11th house. You have a desire, a deep-seated desire to earn income from many sources and capable of doing so. Just remember that these sources should not be unethical, and they need to be from very straightforward resources. You can also work in a very different field. You can do a lot of research here because the 11th house is the house of futuristic research, and Rahu placed here is very comfortable in thinking about the future and earning a lot in terms of future. So this Rahu basically gives you a mind which is future oriented, that others may not be able to understand. Not only that, it also gives you an ability to think, act and earn money from many sources that others may not be able to handle. When we talk about Rahu in the 12th house, it can give you a very kinky nature in many other ways, and Rahu's placement in the 12th house has a lot to do with your being careful about yourself, because here it can put you in perplexed situations that can actually physically harm you in more ways than one. You could also be donating to charities which are outside of your comfort zone. Not only that, it can take you into lands where the culture is very different from yours, and you can do good there also. In terms of your health, it can give you problems with your knees and with your ankles and your foot. So do write into us. Let us know how you found this video and which house Rahu works for you and what kind of results it brings to you. We'll continue this series with Jupiter on the way. Till we meet with you again, stay safe.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.